A very good evening to you. Thank you for joining us. My name is Wari Mombogwa. Let's take a look at the stories making headlines. The land question: what is ailing Kenya? And the art of manipulation, we look at puppetry. Welcome. Now, Land Commission on Monday cancelled title deeds for 12 parcels of land in Lamu County in a bid to solve land problems in the county. WTV spoke to Professor Paul Siaga from the University of Nairobi.
The issue of land titles dates back in the 90s, where huge tracts of land were given to the African elites who had close connections with the people in the government.
The change in ownership moved from the Muzungu to the elite Africans, and the elitism was defined by how close you are to the government system that was in power. And so, while attempts were being made to buy the land from the settlers as they were leaving the country, and that land was to be subdivided and given to the Kenyans who are landless and dispossessed, this did not take place.
According to Professor Siaga, the area where land were acquired illegally are Coast, Central and Rift Valley region, where residents were rendered squatters. This resulted into ethnic conflict coupled with loss of life and property.
So besides the titles in those areas which have not been adjudicated, I said that those who are well connected bought land when the settlers were living, and those who were not able to still feel they are disenfranchised, and hence whenever there is anything that would give a chance for somebody to say, can you get out of my land, they take that opportunity. These are the 207 208 clashes we are talking about. These are the many other clashes you are talking about that are related to land.
68% of land mass in Kenya is not registered, and people inhabit the area through customary system of land.
In the northeastern and some parts of eastern province, people do not have titles to land. They live on what are called customary land systems. The reason, particularly in eastern and northern region, was that land was said to be marginal.
He believed that successive governments have not shown ability to resettle the landless people since independence, and so the Land Commission should investigate the land possession in the country. Reporting for WTV News, I'm Godfrey Oma.
Now that story brings us to our feedback question. Are you satisfied with the government's tackling of historical injustices on land? Are you satisfied with the government's tackling of historical injustices on land? Now send us your thoughts on our SMS line on 20058, and we'll sample them and post them on our Facebook page, WTV Kenya. Moving on, following the government's directive that all public service vehicles should adopt the cashless mode of payment, matatu operators have come out to petition the government from enforcing the new law, saying the modalities of implementing it are complex and require more time. Irene Galgalo spoke to River of God's Matatu Sacco Secretary General and brings us the following report.
Nairobi County is fast embracing the cashless mode of payment for public transport. The government's directive that all matatu operators digitize all their revenue collection has been positively embraced by the Matatu Owners Association.
This is the best thing that can ever happen to the industry. The industry is riddled with all kinds of practices in corrupt, doing. And we want passengers to embrace this technology. If you are caught handling cash, it's an offense, whether you're paying or you're receiving. Both have committed offenses. And besides, it's the best way. You don't have to carry money. And I think when we start carrying cards, I think we'll be ahead in Africa, that we are the first country to spearhead this and move ahead with it.
The River of God SACCO Secretary Norman Wanjao says the SACCO is willing to start using the new payment system, but are now waiting for the official green light from the government. He says that they have already done pilot tests with the cards and they are pleased with the results.
We haven't embraced the cashless system because the government hasn't yet given us the go-ahead to start. But at the meantime, there's a company called Ndovu Cash that started doing some piloting using our vehicles, and we are seeing how it will work with them. We're just waiting for them to launch, then the government to give us the go-ahead, then we'll start with them.
The Matatu owners note that they expect to face challenges in the successful implementation of the directive and hope that the government does enough sensitization so that everyone knows what is expected of them.
The conductors need to be taught how to use the machines and things like that, but hopefully they'll get used to it.
The operators say the directive is a good idea as the cashless system will help them in money management and in ensuring the security of their passengers.
You avoid shorts, pesa kupotea zote zinavoidika, na pia inavoid kuleta criminal ndani ya gari kwa kila mtu ana kadi yake. There's no that bulk money. Sometimes tunasimamaga kwa jam, unaweza shikisha mtu, unamwambia ngoja change nini. I think cashless ni poa because inaweza avoid inconvenience mob sana. Because hakutakuwa na request time, you just swap, mambo inaishia hapo, mambo inakuwa poa.
There is a general plea to the government by the operators to allow them more time to adapt to the new system for better service to the commuters of Nairobi.
They should give us time to fully adapt to the system so that it can run smoothly.
Most Matatu operators are open and willing to embrace the cashless form of payment, and its implementation, they say, could go a long way in easing passenger convenience. Reporting for WTV in Nairobi, I am Irene Galgalo.
And in the world of art, puppetry is a form of theatre or performance that involves the manipulation of puppets. We look at the creative minds behind puppeteers in Nairobi.
Hi, my name is Agnes. Welcome to the Kenya's Art Fair event right here at Sarit Center. And this is the puppetry section at the Go Down booth, where Isaac Mule will definitely be telling us the process of puppetry from drawing to modeling to casting. Did you know that puppetry is very ancient and is believed to have originated 3,000 years before Christ? Well, now you know. Puppetry, just like any other art, also needs qualifications of skills such as knowledge of scripts and ability to express character and have a versatile voice.
Eyes are fixed with an eye mechanism. You can see these two cables here. Yeah. This helps to manipulate the eyes. So for demonstration, you can see it can blink. And the eyes can move from left to right. Yeah. So that's the work of the eye mechanism. Our CEOs come select a particular character. For example, this Wole Soyinka. Because our show majorly deals with political satire. Okay. If they project maybe a certain character will come up with something they can use, then they order for a puppet of such character.
Okay. The puppets are mostly made of latex and have served as an analogy for matters ranging from spirituality to politics to commercialization, and always go through processes of identifying characters before coming up with the end product.
Come up with the drawing, then we come to the modeling part.
Okay.
For the modeling we use natural clay.
Okay.
Natural clay in a liquid form. So we apply it on the clay piece.
Okay.
And with some other agents like hardener, it eventually dries on the clay piece. So after it has dried, it will capture the image in a negative form, like what you can see here. So later when it has dried up, we remove the clay. With the hollow part of the puppet, we have the compartment for the hand, for the manipulation of the mouth. And we have these two sockets for the eyes. So this helps to achieve that inside the puppet. So after the mold, after it is done. After it is done now, like we have the front, back and the interior. We come to this like almost the
Puppets are usually given names, characters and personalities to make them more believable, fun and easier to relate with, making some puppet characters very lovable. Agnes Minor reporting for WTV.
Now, President Uhuru Kenyatta has returned from West Africa, where he had joined the rest of the African leaders for an emotional send-off of former Zambia's president, the late Michael Sata, in Lusaka. Meanwhile, ECOWAS bloc has assured the rest of the world that the military will peacefully hand over power to civilians as normalcy returns in the country. Radin Biko with more.
Southern African political leaders and other African heads of state gathered in Lusaka, Zambia for an emotional send-off for the late Zambian President Michael Sata on Tuesday. They all joined acting President Guy Scott at a funeral service.
As you may be well aware that he only served for 3 years, and we've seen a lot of development here during his reign, his 3 years of power. And I do feel that this is the man who could have served for 3 years, and for 3 years, but he could have served for more than 3 years so that we could have seen massive development.
There were protests on Monday when Scott tried to fire Edgar Lungu, the defense minister, and who is also the Secretary General of the ruling Patriotic Front Party. This created a political conflict that triggered an overnight riot. However, he reversed his decision after a high-level meeting. Scott's move to diffuse public anger came after a heated meeting in which senior party members urged Scott to reinstate Lungu, who is also considered a possible presidential candidate.
I came here today, like you, to say goodbye. To say goodbye to my friend, to say goodbye to my brother, to say goodbye to my teacher. Because anything I know about politics, I learned from that man whose coffin is there. And I just want to say that my job for Zambia, is to ensure that in 80 days' time, you have a new president, you have a new government, and you have peace, and you have prosperity.
Under the constitution, Zambia must hold a presidential election within 90 days of a president's death. Meanwhile, the military-appointed leader of Burkina Faso, Colonel Isaac Zinda, has assured the people that the military will hand over power to the civilian once a council of elders is created, who will foresee a transition of leadership.
They have confirmed this, and the military were present when the three heads of state addressed the national stakeholders in Ouagadougou yesterday. The military leadership was there, and they have approved the communique issued at the end of this visit. This communique has been supported and endorsed by the extraordinary summit of ECOWAS. Therefore, I believe that now is a matter of implementing the ECOWAS decisions.
The regional bloc ECOWAS has welcomed the move as a key step towards restoring peace on the country.
I believe that with better coordination amongst all of us and all stakeholders, the battle against this dreadful scourge will be won sooner than later.
The African Union announced on Monday that it will put sanctions on the country if it do not choose a civilian leader in 2 weeks' time.
And that's all we have from our news desk. Thank you for joining us. My name is Wari Mumbogwa. Do have a good night.